Hey everyone, welcome back to the part 2 of the Vibe Coding series, where we show you how to go from idea to working app using AI tools without writing code. If you missed part 1, you can find the link of the video in the description. And in the previous session, we have covered how you can convert idea to a PRD, PRD to a lovable prompt to start no code building. We then created a functional front-end prototype of it and also looked at the entire lovable setup on what functionalities exist, especially on the free plan, right? Today, we will cover setting up backend, authentication, and how to add API integration along with security setup. Now that you have learned how to build a full stack app end to end using no code AI, we would love for you to start building and share your progress with us also. And joining me again is Palash Somani, Director of Product at Dream 11. Welcome back, Palash.
Hey, hi Akhil, nice to be here. Hey everyone, like Akhil said, we'll today look at how we can build a backend and many more things. So without a further ado, let's get started. Right, so today's session, we'll set up a backend. We will also add some user authentication. We will connect to OpenAI for API integration and seeing some AI features into it. And we'll also check for some security issues, right? As we are building and we are trying to ship an app, it's important to know whether we are shipping out a secure app. And I would just add as a reminder from the last session, we will all do this just by pure logic, by prompting and no coding. So let's get started to building. But before that, very quickly, let's understand these four terms. What is the backend? What is authentication? What is API integration, etc. So backend, right? So in the last session, we saw what is a front end, which is nothing but something that you see on your interface. Backend is nothing which handles behind the scene footage for you. So any logic that you type on your front end, let's say you try to log in on a screen, that login request goes back to your database to fetch the data. That entire process happens through your backend, basically, right? In a normal language, if I have to explain to a 5-year-old, that's basically backend is nothing but that processes your order. So if you've gone to a restaurant, front end is basically your waiter who will take the order. Him going to the kitchen is the API, and the processor over there, which is the chef, the cook, that is your logic and the database at the back end, which is cooking your food and bringing it back to you. Right. What is authentication? So authentication, nothing in short terms, it is what it means is your identity. Anything that can ensure it is you and will allow you to pass. Think of from an app perspective, it's a security guard which will look at some common login passwords from you and then only let you pass in that particular line. If you don't have that particular login or details or password, it won't let you enter the club. And the common methods that you will see outside is email and password, social logins, OTP, one-time password. In today's session, we will cover email and password in detail, and the other things you can try on your own. I'll tell you how. Right, API. API integration is very important. If you are really serious about building third-party apps, very heavy or very complex apps that you want to ship out for people, you would definitely want to integrate it with other tools, be it OpenAI, be it for payments to Stripe or something else. API comes in very handy where you can use third parties services within your app. It's like a messenger which takes a request from app number A, takes it to app number B, and brings a response back from there. So in short, API is nothing but the app's messenger to different places within the app as well as outside. Lastly, app security. Before we move on, right? So it is important for you that you yourself feel secure about the app you have built. The users you have onboarded feel secure about the app you are providing to them, because user trust is very important. And if you lose the data, if you lose anything, that trust goes with it. So you definitely want to keep the bad guys out, right? And security can lead to major data breaches as well. And we being a non-technical people in no code building, we may not know all the nuances of security. So we'll see how Lovable has made it easy in certain places where you can quickly identify security fixes also if there are any in your apps. In short, anything you want to do, something that should be encrypted, your entire house, secure storage, secure authentication, that is security. So that your doors and windows are logged and are only accessible to person who is authenticated for that. What it means is, let's say Palash as a user has login, he should not be able to see Akhil's information. And vice versa for Akhil as well. When Akhil is logging in, he should not be able to see Palash's detail. That in nutshell is security. Cool. So without further ado, let's move on and let's try to build all of these in our lovable prototype. So you might remember the screen from last time. We built out a complete front end where we had a dashboard, we added some saving goals, and we had some expense tracker. But right now, as you can see, this is just pure front end only, where anybody can fetch information, write information, and there is no user relation to it because we have not built any particular backend, we have not built any particular authentication for it. So let's start by building a backend first. Now, ideally in Lovable, it has been made very easy when it comes to integrating backend with Supabase. Supabase is nothing but a backend service provider like Airtable or something else. But I have found that for no-code builders, Supabase has been very friendly in terms of starting out. So I would only recommend that you start with Supabase first. As you grow your knowledge into that, you can expand to other tools as well. Now, there are two ways you can integrate Supabase into Lovable. One is by prompting Lovable over here, ki, hey, can you set up my backend by integrating with Supabase. But as you all might remember, in the last meeting, we said, in the last video, we said that we will try to do this on a free plan. And a free plan has a 5 credit restrictions. And any message you send to Lovable will be counted as one of those messages. So instead of setting this backend by sending a prompt, I would teach you how you can manually do it very easily as well. That will save you one message and you'll also understand the starting of Supabase for it. So I'll remove this from here. And if you see this top right icon over here, manage Supabase, this is basically where you can connect to Supabase. Now, ideally, if you're a first time beginner, here you will see a screen where it will ask you to enter Supabase login and password. You can sign up on Supabase from there, and then you will see a screen like this where you will set up a new project first. So if I click on this, show me my organization as this particular email that I've set up. You could set up a different organization also if you have not set up already. Within that, you will then set up a project. Let's say, let's call this project Money Mood. I'll set up a database password so that I can only access this particular project through this password only, and so the people I give access to. Finally comes the region. Region is nothing but where do you want your backend information to be stored. Every backend stored that information in some kind of server. These servers are placed across the globe from the service providers. You would want to be closest to the location you are at so that the performance of the app is best. So in this case, I will choose Southeast Asia, Mumbai, and I will create this project of Moneymood. So Moneymood is set up. Now, this is your Supabase dashboard, which has been set up for the project Moneymood. In this, you will see there are different tables already, which is your authentication, your storage, where all data will kept, your edge functions, where you store all your API keys, and real-time SQL database, where you have to run any particular queries. Now, all of these sound very technical and jargony, but the good thing is we don't have to take care about any single of these things. Lovable will take care of it for us. But I want to show you very quickly what does this sets into. So right now there is this authentication layer where there is no table setup because we have not prompted Lovable yet that set up my authentication. So you must see there are no users that are over here. If you go and sign in and sign up, there are no policies that are enabled or disabled. We'll see all of that in a second. How does these starts populating as soon as you set up that user authentication? So let's try our first prompt. After you have connected your backend over here, I will just connect Moneymood now to my Lovable account. So Moneymood is what I created in Supabase. I will click on connect over here. For everybody's purpose, I'll show you again. You click on Supabase. Once you have created the project, you will see it over here. You click on Moneymood connect. It will ask you to connect with Supabase dashboard. Connect this Lovable project to Supabase, which is your Moneymood, and you click on connect. So now your dashboard, your SQL editor, your edge functions, your secret manager, everything is connected to Lovable. And you can also see Lovable has given you a prompt over here. Hey, your app is now connected to Supabase. You can now work with a fully featured backend and add powerful features to make your app truly functional. So let's see how we can do that. Let us try first of all with login. So I'll tell Lovable, hey, my Supabase backend is now connected. Help me enable sign up and login with email, password, and social login with Google. ensure user ID is linked to profile and subsequent app data so that no two users can access each other's account and data. So you see what I did there? I first told Lovable that, hey, let us connect to authentication layer now that I have set up my backend. The important part of setting a backend first is if you set up an authentication layer first, there is no place where that data will be stored. It will be stored on the cloud on the front end. So whenever you will refresh, that will just go away. And those users will not be saved in your system. So you need a backend first. Once you have set up your backend, you can tell in plain simple English, simple logic that, hey, help me enable sign in and sign up through email password and through social logins. Following to that, ensure that user ID is linked to profile and subsequent app data. You don't want my user ID to be linked to Akhil's user ID and our data flowing to each other. So it's important that these relations and tables are specified. Now, Lovable is smart enough to do it already, but it's always good to pre-prompt it as well. And then lastly, just from the security sake, I started dropping some keywords over here at the start only that, hey, no two accounts should be able to access each other's account and data. So that Lovable from start only ensure in that kind of prompting. So let's see what Lovable does over here. So quick reminder for people who are joining us for the first time. In the meantime, this is running. Here is the code view. So if you want to interact with the code, you can interact with the code over here where you can see all the files. From here, we integrated with Supabase, which is our backend. This button is for GitHub. Anytime you think that you are ready to take this project from Lovable into your local repository and build on top of it, this is where you can take it from. You can connect your GitHub account over here and you can transfer the entire code from here to GitHub. Right. So, like I said last time in the previous session as well, when you give a detailed prompt to Lovable, especially about backend, it will tell you what all it is doing. So it is creating a profile table that links to auth.users, like we said. It is enabling row level security so that profile is maintained with that kind of parity. It is creating a policy to allow users to read their own profile for security reasons, like we just said. Create a policy to allow users to update their own profile. Very good point, right? We didn't mention this to Lovable at first, but Lovable understood that from a security standpoint, it is important that the user can only edit their own profile. Create a policy to allow users to update their own profile. Create a trigger automatically to create a profile when a user signs up. This is also required, right? We have not given a prompt right now here, set up a user profile section also, but there will be some basic nuances required. If Palash signs up with his email ID, that email ID need to be stored somewhere, and that storage will be called as Palash's profile. Now, you don't need to read through all of these, but I would recommend that once you've built a couple of pages or a couple of instances, you start understanding what this means. Because while you don't need to understand the code behind it, it's always good to understand the logic with which a no code tool is writing so that you can always tell it that, hey, I don't think this logic is required, or I think this logic can be simplified further, or I don't understand this logic. Can you explain to me before putting it into my code? This will help you in lesser debugging later and understanding your code end to end. What are you shipping to users as well? So for now, I will enable all of these. Lovable also mentions over here what it is doing in plain English. So creates a profile, create tables for transactions, set up row level security, and trigger for automated profile creation on sign up. So let's apply these changes. Right. So at this point, Lovable should start implementing these particular things. Now, one very important nuance over here, sometimes what will happen is you will try to follow along with the same prompt, but you might see a slightly different UI, or you might see a slightly different interpretation about your authentication layer. Some might happen, some might not happen. It is entirely okay. The same prompt can give different results. The reason for that is LLM is generative AI, right? So it's more probabilistic nature. It will try to introduce slight amount of randomness every time you prompt it, even if with the same prompt, so that it can differentiate results and generate more outcomes over there. So even in ChatGPT, if you try to put the same prompt 100 times, you will see different outputs. And a very interesting trend right now that is running on the internet about it is ki you will try ask ChatGPT to create a particular person in image format, and then keep giving that prompt 100 times, and all 100 times you will see some variation in that person's image being created. So the same thing applies over here as well from an LLM perspective. Cool. While it is continuing running, I'll just complete that tour again, which I was giving to you. Invite is something where you can ask your other team members to come and collaborate with you. Publish, which we'll see in a second, where you can publish your particular apps. Refresh button is there so that anytime you have prompted the chatbot over here for something, you feel like it has not been incorporated in your particular preview, you can just refresh and see whether the code is done or not. This panel will help you see a full screen view. A lot of times when we start in Lovable, we start with a web prototype. A web prototype is always better looking when you see the full screen so that you can see the entire gamut of it. Uh, Otherwise, you can also take it into a different window from this particular row. Now, if I click over here, as you can see, I've already exhausted one prompt because we've just given something to Lovable that, hey, can you build this particular thing for me? And it is now building that for us. So let's see. In the meantime, while this prompt is running, I'll also tell you a couple of important aspects about things that you can remember while building with Lovable. Right. So a couple of things that we said in the last session as well, that you should always start with a great spec. Before you build anything, clarity is very important so that you can work with lesser messages. You can ensure that you don't have to rework or remove functionalities later. Always scope down to an MVP level argument. Then ask AI to generate what is the requirement, what is the tech stack, and a phased roadmap to build it. A strong spec, believe me, will save you hours later. And a phased roadmap will ensure that you build in small chunks and AI understands exactly what you're trying to build rather than trying to put its own context about the whole thing you've set together. Plan before you build. For complex features, ask AI to plan first and code later. This is something called as reflection prompting. Think of it in a way where whenever you are also trying to study for a course, you would want to plan it out, right? Let me study for chapter one first, then give my exam, let do me chapter two and three, and then and I'll do this particular hard chapter at the end. So it is important you follow the same principle that you apply in daily life with AI as well. So ask AI to make a plan first and then code later. Break the plan into simpler steps so that you can do manageable chunks at a single piece of time. These technologies are very new. They are right now in their nascent phases. So they're like babies. You should treat them like one. Baby steps, simple steps go easily. Lastly, ruthlessly simplify. I know the allure of building something with no code could be very high, so you might want to chase the moon from starting. But I would say start simple, learn how to really prompt with no code tools, and then you can expand your use case. But try to ruthlessly simplify whatever you're trying to build and then go to building it. Right, let us see if this is set up. Okay, so we have run into some error. Let's see what is the error over here. It's saying React Shadzian more development. Okay. Let me try to fix it. Yeah, it's had a bit of hiccup, broke the app. 1 sec. I'll refresh this. Okay. The error continues. You can see the logs. I've implemented a complete authentication system for money mood, user security UI database. To complete the setup for Google, you will need to do this. Okay. Also, for faster testing, you might want to turn off email configuration from Supabase. That's fine. I can do that later. Okay, let's try to say it this. Hey, I seem to run into an error. Can you fix it for me? Let's see what it does. So in simple terms, I try to understand the error, but let's say if I'm for the first time looking at it, this will look overwhelming. I would not be able to understand it. Two ways to go about it. One, if it is the first time only, you can always tell Lovable, hey, I seem to have run into this. Can you fix it for me? If it is a continuous issue, you can copy this from here, take it into ChatGPT and understand what this error really means so that you can prompt accordingly. It is not required for you to understand the code of the error, but to understand the logic why that error has occurred, because that will help you tell the LLM in Lovable better that what exactly do you really want. Now let's see what it does. So we'll just wait until Lovable fixes this for us. So while this is running, let us continue on the best practices that we were looking at. I'll tell you three more. We'll go to that back again and then come back to the last three at the end. Build one small feature at a time. Like you would see over here, I first did the front end with one single exercise. Then first I converted into an authentication, sorry, in a backend layer. Then I went to authentication, and then now we'll do API integration separately. This is important because initially we don't know what exactly how a prompt will be read over there. So as you get better with prompting, you can start doing multiple features at once. But until then, I'll say test one feature, see what works, then move on from there. Get options and always pick the simpler one. So let's say I'm stuck over here, right? If after a couple of times LLM in the Lovable piece is not able to break it for me, I can simply ask, hey, can you tell me what the error was, and give me three simple ways to do this from simplest to most advanced. And in my experience, 9 out of 10 times go with the simple one, and it will solve the issue for you. The simpler always option is always the best one, right? The simpler explanation is always the best one. We keep saying that as a saying. The same thing apply over here as well. Use restore checkpoints. Now this will be important when you start building more bigger applications. What happens sometimes is because of that randomness that AI introduces over and above your prompt, it might change a certain portion of your code and might introduce an error in an already okay product that you have already built. So for example, I might have built the entire front end and I like how I built it. And now I'm trying to go and introduce authentication. It is possible that Lovable might introduce a randomness in my previous front end prototype and it changes for some reason, right? So restore checkpoints will help you to roll back to the cleanest version available to you. And this will save you not creating many features again and again rather than going back to that checkpoint version. Right. Okay. So Lovable has fixed the prompt for us. And I will help you fix the build error. It has done it. I fixed all the build errors. You can understand what the errors are. Again, over time, I would recommend you do try to understand what these errors are so that over time you don't click fix this error for every single thing, because that will use up your messaging. And sometimes it's okay to leave certain errors and your functional prototype can still work, and choose to solve for these errors at the end. You might even say, hey, I don't need these additional code, just remove it end to end for me. Right. So let's see. Right now we said we have set up our authentication over here. And as you can see, there are no users in our authentication table currently. Now let's try to create one. So I'll enter my name. I'll enter my email. Okay. And it is creating account. Registration successful. Please check your email to confirm your account. So I'll quickly stop sharing, go to my email for a second and try to confirm my login and come back. Just give me 1 minute. Right. So I'm back. Uh, we have now successfully signed up over there. So I should be able to log in. So let's go to the login side now. But before going to login, I want to show you as an admin. If you go to your backend now and do a refresh over here, you will see a user entry already created and created at 1st May 4:34 GMT plus 5:30. Right. So this works in GMT clock, and you can see that user is already created. So you have now successfully set up a backend. You have successfully set up an authentication layer, and your user tables are already updating automatically through integrations done by Lovable and Supabase directly. And if I now log in, you can see there is a profile side that is set up for me right now. Because I've not built any other things in profile, it will only give me my email ID and option to log out. And all the data has just went away because Palash as a user has logged in first time and he or she has not stored any particular data. So there is no saving goals, there is no expense tracker, but he can build it and it will look exactly same as the functional prototype we built in the first one. I can say emergency fund. Target is 1 lakh, 10 lakh, and 10,000. Let's say my target date is, for a second, say this. This goal is added to me. Now, if I refresh, this data will still be available. If I go to saving goals, it's there. Let's see if I log out and come back again, is it still there? So I've logged out. Now I cannot access that same panel again because now everything is moved behind in authentication. But if I log in now, I should be able to see it. Yeah, I have it. So this is also validated that the data is flowing very correctly to Lovable, to Supabase, and therefore Palash's login is now secure. So we have very quickly seen how you can create a backend, how you can create how can you create authentication. We also saw certain security parameters that we added in Lovable prompts, where we said, hey, ensure the following security guidelines are measured, where no two users can access each other's account, can't change their profile. So we have seen security trademarks also, where we ensure data and everything is not particularly shared. Now, one very important thing that Lovable is right now rolling out, and you may or may not see at this point of time, is something that will show up over here, which is Supabase security issues. Right. So before going to API integration, or actually let's do API integration first and then go to security issues, because that might also introduce something. So now I like this whole thing, but I want to power this AI budget tip with a notification from which is personalized to the user. Whatever input the user is giving for that week, I want this AI budget tip to be powered by that. So let me give a prompt for that. Hey, in the dashboard view, I want the AI budget tip feature to be powered by OpenAI, OpenAI, where looking at the users' weekly budgeting trends, use OpenAI to give some savings or positive affirmations tips. It's always good to understand and take it things more positively. Na? For this, let's integrate with OpenAI's API. I'm ready to provide the API key. Right. So, what Lovable has a very interesting way of handling things is that normally your API keys are supposed to be stored in environmental variable. Environmental variable is nothing but your backend variables, so that nobody without proper authentication or security checks can access those links. Because API keys, while you can get it from OpenAI, it is powered through your payment credits. And those credits, if are available to other users, they can basically try to use it and you will be charged for it. What Lovable does it, Lovable offers you an option over here where you can just click over here and give your API key. If you don't want to do it from here, you can also go in your money mood that you have set up, the dashboard. You can go to your edge functions, and in your edge functions, you can go to secrets and store your key directly over here. But Lovable does it for us, so we will follow that particular process. Now for this, you first need your API key. So how to really get it? Now any API key that you particularly want, you may today want OpenAI because you're trying to integrate AI. Tomorrow you might think, hey, why not just take it a step further? OpenAI will tell me, okay, Palash is spending more. Why don't you set up an emergency fund as a tip to Palash? But whenever that tip is coming up as a tip for Palash, I also want to fetch a most popular YouTube video on how to set up an emergency fund. So you can also fetch a YouTube API, which will read this response of OpenAI and also share the link of that YouTube video in the same prototype that you are building. Now, all of these APIs, you can get it from their respective platforms. If you don't know how to get APIs, what you can also do is something that I particularly like. I go to Perplexity for it. Perplexity is like the new search engine, the new Google, and you can over here say, hey, I I am looking to integrate with OpenAI API in my Lovable project. Can you give me a link where I can get this OpenAI API? and tell me steps to do it. Now, what this does is it will tell you exactly from where you can go and get access to it. Like, for example, if I click over here, it has automatically taken me to OpenAI where I can just log in and get the API keys from here. Instead of me searching on Google, trying different links, I basically can get it from here. So what I'll do is I'll use my different account that I have on OpenAI so that I can use something that has credits already in it. And I'll tell you what does credits means in a second. Right. So once you log in, you will see a setup like this where your different API keys will be stored. Now you can create an API key by clicking on here, create a new secret key. I'll say my name is Moneymood and you can click on create secret key. Now, two important things to note. Don't share secret key with anybody. You would see my key right now, but I'll delete it after this particular video. So that is for security reasons. And second, when you are creating a secret key, it will only show up to you once over here. And you have to copy it from here. If you don't copy it and click on done, you won't be able to access it again and you will have to create another key again. If I go on edit, I can't access that key again. So only because I have copied it, I'm able to access it. And now I'll go to my Lovable system and I'll add the API key over here. So you see it says enter your API key to continue, manage this later from the Supabase menu. So it will ensure that it is stored in my backend. So I've added this key. Happening. Palash's data is here. Let us add some expense. 10,000 for rent. Add 10,000 for food. Add 1 lakh. Let's say. Subscriptions. 1,000. Right. So when it starts showing up over here that my expenses are this much. And here it is adding the API key. The same steps is something that Perplexity will also tell you that, okay, you can go to OpenAI, you can get your API key. In a normal builders, which are your local environment builders, you can install that using these prompts. But like I showed you in Lovable, you don't have to really do it that way. And these keys will automatically be stored in your backend once Lovable is done over here. So let's give it a minute. And at that point, see over here, your OpenAI key is part of your edge function secret now in your edge functions of Moneymood. So automatically Lovable has taken it from here and integrated over here. So folks, that is how you can set up a backend. You can set up authentication. You can find any API key that you want. You can integrate with that API key. It is important to have some credits in your API key. Otherwise, those credits, that API key will not work. This depends platform to platform. For example, if you're a beginner, I would recommend use Gemini for this. Gemini offers some free credits so that initially you can experiment. While API cost is very cheap, but I would still recommend go with Gemini to begin with. That can help you not invest that $2 or $3 as well for testing things out. Use Google and Perplexity to find those APIs, whichever you really want, and you can integrate in a platform. Now, once that is done, the last piece of the puzzle was security. While we have been dropping certain elements in our prompts to take care of security, we may still have left some security issues because as no code builders and no non-technical folks, we may not understand the entire aspect of it properly. And it is possible that even if you've prompted it correctly, sometimes the randomness that the GenAI model introduces might lead to certain security issues. So what you can do in Lovable is this function or this feature right now is only available when you connect it to Supabase. If you are connecting it to any other backend, as of now, this security function is not available to you. Future may, Lovable has mentioned that they will bring it up, but until then, what you can do is click on review issues. It will take you over here and it will tell you what all warnings is there. So function search path mutable detects functions when search path parameter is not sent, which means anybody else can mutate or copy this function. Leaked password protection disabled. So this is in authentication where I have disabled something for the dev mode currently. and insufficient MFA options. So multi-factor authentication for OTP and sign in, something that I have not done. So I'll come back to this again. But right now, I think this is something I can live with, because I'm right now using a dev environment only. Otherwise, you can ask your assistant over what to do and it will resolve it for you. Right? If you ask summarize this for me, description this, and you hit enter, it will help you solve for these issues as well. Now I'll try to deploy this. If you click on this publish button, it will help you deploy this and it can become a shareable prototype with anybody. If you want a specific domain, you can also purchase a new domain over here. If you're only building it for prototyping, I would say just go ahead and publish. If you're building something that is a user facing product, then at that point of time, you can purchase a particular domain. So if I hit publish now, which is published with security issues, because these security issues I understand and I don't want to specifically fix. Otherwise, you can click on a fix button and you can fix it as well. Yeah, so my project is updated and it is published now. So I can share this link with anybody and they will be able to access it. This is opening. Yeah. So it is now a new user page where they can log in and sign up. Now, one important thing I wanted to mention, which is over here. So if I go to my authentication layer and I go in sign in and sign up, right now, while you can see that I have enabled Google as well, it will throw up error because this Google provider is not set up in Supabase. Now, this is something Lovable can't do. Lovable can integrate with Supabase, which means it can integrate with any functionality that Supabase offers. But wherever Supabase needs to integrate with certain third parties, Lovable will not come in handy. So what you have to do for that is, if you have to enable Google login, you have to go in your authentication tables. You click on sign in and sign up. Over here, you have to click on Google. You have to enable this by providing a client ID and client secret key. Now, this is something you can get from the Google dashboard. Again, on Perplexity, you can search, hey, how do I set up Google login on Lovable? Tell me the links where I can get these. And at that point of time, you can integrate it over here. Email is something that is inbuilt for any providers. That's why email is easily available. Now over here also what you can do is, if you don't want to send a confirmation email, you can disable that functionality from here. You want to secure password change, you want to improve password security, you can enable those, how much minimum password length should be there, what kind of character password requirement is there, email OTP length, etc. And you can save it. So that way, authentication wise also, you can move towards two-factor authentication and other things if you really want to. Right. So that completes our entire session end to end, from how you can build a front end, how you can build a back end, how you can integrate with authentication layers, how you can integrate with OpenAI, how you can check for security issues, and how you can really publish an app. I would leave you with last three no code AI pro tips. Whenever AI misunderstands, clarify better. Like, it is again something like, hey, if somebody you're trying to explain that give me this particular thing, if he or she is not understanding, you'll try to give it a better example or better context. It is the same thing with AI. Always explain with example. Share the details. Share your goal, what you're trying to understand, not just the feature. That will help AI understand what is the broader problem it is going to solve, and that clarification can lead to better results as well. Debug with it like a teammate. If you don't understand anything, ask it to explain the code. This is something I see as a big problem where new no code builders are not adapting. Understand what code is getting written. Ask it to understand, like you're explaining it to a 5-year-old. Like, explain to me like a 5-year-old what this code snippet means. Or test one feature at a time. Be specific about what's not working for you. Don't just say, hey, this screen is not working for me, fix it. Hey, I'm getting this error, fix it. Hey, I'm getting an error in the authentication through email and password. Can you ensure that doesn't come again? Or can you ensure this particular error is not coming and I can log in through my email and password? That is some additional context once you become specific. And lastly, don't get lost in the jargons. If you are not understanding all those SQL tables or anything that Lovable is throwing at you, just ask it. Explain this to me like a 5-year-old. What would this feel like to be to a user? So that you don't have to be really technical, but you need to understand how you can converse with people in English, right? And be curious and clear about what your expectation is and what they are going to build for you. For this last particular piece, I would recommend copy the thing that Lovable is telling you. use a different LLM so that you save token as well. And at the same time, you can verify also. So this randomness that is sometime introduced or hallucination that sometime happens can go away when you're cross-checking between multiple LLMs. Right. So congratulations, you are now a no-code builder. And yeah, over to you, Akhil.
Awesome, Palash. Looks like we built our personal finance money management application. Do you think we should share it with the audience so that they can go and try and log their expenses?
Absolutely. Let's give it a shot. Yeah.
So folks will be, sharing the link because we have said that we've also deployed it, right? So we'll be adding the link in the description. So please go ahead, do try it out, and do leave your thoughts in the comments. It'll really help us, in fact, address your comments as well. And in our future series, future sessions, we'll be also able to kind of, take up all the queries as much as possible. In the next part, we're going to cover two more cool ways of prototyping with AI. First is we're going to teach you how to create products using screenshot and how to also create products using Figma design. And we'll definitely be continuing that series, and we're going to build cool games that'll help you, drive your user engagements to a different level. And that's it. That's it from our end. Palash, do you want to give any closing remarks? It'll really help us keep going in the session.
Yeah, I'll just end it. Keep trying, keep building momentums. Practice will make you perfect over here. And do share whatever you build with us. Hope this series is helping you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Stay tuned for part 3. Thank you.